They say in every city there are houses people avoid, buildings where the rent is cheap, the paint is fresh, but something in the air feels wrong. To the newcomer, they look just like any other home. And that's exactly how Chaik's story began. Chaik was young, ambitious, and new to the city. He came with nothing but a small bag, big dreams, and the little money he had saved from working in his hometown. For weeks, he searched for a place to stay. He slept in cheap lodges on friends' floors. But every apartment he found was far, beyond his budget. One afternoon, after walking for hours, he wandered into a quiet neighborhood. The streets were narrow, lined with tall trees that blocked the sunlight in patches. At the very end of the lane stood a building that caught his attention. It wasn't grand. It wasn't new. But something about it made him stop. The walls were freshly painted. The compound was swept clean, and a for rent sign leaned against the front wall. The caretaker, an elderly man with a limp, appeared almost instantly, as if he'd been waiting for someone. "You want to rent?" the caretaker asked, smiling too quickly. "Yes," Chaik said. The man led him inside. The rooms were spacious. The windows were large enough for light, but the corners seemed darker than they should be. The rent, the caretaker said, was half the price of anywhere else in the city. When Chaik asked why it was so cheap, the man shrugged. People don't like this side of town. Too quiet. Only 3 other tenants lived in the building. Chaik noticed they didn't look at him for long. Just short glances, then quickly turning away. That evening, Chaik moved in. He unpacked a small bag, cooked a simple meal, and ate happily. Finally, he thought, I can breathe. Night fell. The building was so silent that even his own footsteps sounded loud. He lay in bed, scrolling on his phone, when he heard it, a faint, scratching sound. It came from somewhere inside the walls. He paused, listening. Maybe it was just a rat. But then came another sound, a low, dragging noise like something heavy sliding across the floor. He got up, walked into the small hallway, and turned towards the living room. There, on the far wall, was a small opening, no bigger than his fist. It hadn't been there earlier. Something moved inside it, slow, deliberate, and then he saw it. A large, dark snake slid out, its scales glistening in the dim light, its head lifted, eyes fixed on him. Chaik froze. Before he could move, the snake lunged forward, his mouth open in shock, and in that moment, it forced itself inside. The taste of earth and rot filled his throat. Chaik fell to the floor, clutching his neck, gasping. The snake slid deeper, curling, moving, exploring his body. He could feel it in his chest, then in his stomach, then chillingly near his head. From that night, Chaik was never the same. By day, he felt almost normal. By night, he felt it, moving under his skin, twisting slowly, then suddenly jerking. He tried to ignore it, but sleep was almost impossible. The next morning, he went to a local dibia, a spiritual healer. The man gave him herbs to drink. It worked for a few hours. But as soon as Chaik left the shrine, the movement returned stronger than before. It was as if the snake knew when it was being chased away. Days later, his girlfriend Ada came to visit. She was happy to see him, bringing him food from her own home. They spent the evening laughing, talking about the future, and later they shared an intimate night together. The next evening, Ada called him. Her voice was shaky. "Something is moving inside me," she said. At that exact moment, Chaik felt the snake stir violently inside him. It was as if it had heard her voice. But Chaik said nothing. He could not tell her. Ada was confused. The movement came and went, but when it came, it made her freeze in fear. Weeks passed before Chaik heard of Iguadu, a powerful dibia who lived deep in a nearby village. People said Iguadu could cure any spiritual sickness, but his price was never just money. When Chaik arrived, Iguadu listened silently to his story. Finally, the old man said, "You have been touched by the house of spirits. This is not sickness. This is a claim." He gave Chaik a list of things to bring: palm wine in a calabash, certain herbs, a white cock, and a strip of white cloth. When Chaik returned, Eguata began the ritual. There were chants, smoke, the scent of burning leaves. And then it happened. Chike felt a violent movement inside him. He screamed as a long, black serpent slid out from his body, hissing before, disappearing into the forest. Eguata wiped his hands and said, "Never return to that house. And bring your woman too. Me within 2 market weeks. If not, she will carry it forever." Chike nodded, but as he left the healer's compound, fear and shame took hold. He never went back for Ada. In fact, he left the city entirely and never called her again. Ada, still feeling the strange movement inside her, searched for answers. She went to churches, shrines, hospitals. Nothing worked. Then she made a chilling discovery. When she was with other men, they too began to feel it. And so the chain continued. Some say Ada still lives in the city, passing the curse without even knowing the full truth. Others believe she knows exactly what she's doing. And the old apartment? It still stands quiet and clean, waiting for its next tenant. The elders say, be careful where you lay your head, and be careful who you share your body with. Some spirits do not just haunt houses. They live inside the living. And when they find a way in, they never leave willingly. For weeks after Chike disappeared, Ada carried a movement inside her like a shadow she couldn't shake. Some days it slept, other days it rolled and twisted beneath her ribs until she had to stop whatever she was doing just to breathe. She tried hospitals. The scans showed nothing. She tried churches. The prayers worked, but only for a night. She even tried a small shrine by the river. The herbs calmed her for hours, but then it returned, stronger, as if it had been resting. At night, Ada dreamed of the house. Not the street, not the caretaker, just the house. Sitting quietly at the end of the lane, its windows watching her like eyes, and always that small, dark hole in the wall. One evening, unable to bear it any longer, she asked the trader at the market about the building. The woman lowered her voice. "That house is history," she said. "A student once stayed there. Healthy, happy. Then he started saying something lived in his walls. They found him one night on the floor, staring at the ceiling. He left the next day, and no one saw him again." Ada didn't need to hear more. She remembered what Chike had said about the strange caretaker, and she remembered the name, Eguata. It took her 2 days to find the old healer's village. He listened without interrupting. When she finished, he nodded slowly. "This is not sickness," he said. "You have been claimed by a house that was once a shrine. The thing inside you belongs there, and it will never leave unless it is sent back." Eguata gave her instructions. Palm wine in a calabash, certain herbs, a strip of white cloth, and water from 3 different places. "Bring these to the house," he said. "But know this, the house will bargain. It will promise. It will threaten. You must say no to all of it." That night, Ada returned. The caretaker was sweeping the compound. He stopped when he saw her. "You came back," he said. "I came to finish it," Ada replied. Inside the flat, the air was heavier than she remembered. The faint scar on the wall, the size of a fist, seemed to pulse. Ada placed a calabash of palm wine on the floor and sprinkled the water, one after the other. The room seemed to breathe. From the wall came a low hiss. A black head emerged, tongue flicking, eyes fixed on her. The voice that followed wasn't human. "Ada, give me another. A friend, a stranger, and I will leave you forever." She gripped the white cloth. "No," she said. The hiss grew louder. The head lunged forward. But just before it reached her, Eguata's voice filled the room from the doorway, chanting words older than the building itself. Smoke curled from the herbs, thick and bitter. The snake recoiled, twisting, fighting the pull. Ada felt it inside her, writhing. Her knees shook. She pressed the cloth to her waist and shouted over the noise, "I break the promise. You have no home here." With a final violent jerk, the serpent slid out, coiling on the floor before vanishing into the wall. The opening sealed, as if it had never been there. Eguata stepped inside. "It is gone," he said, "but the house will wait for another. Such spirits, they are patient." Ada looked around the room, now silent. "I'm not," she said, and she walked out without looking back. The buildings still stand at the end of the lane. Paint fresh, rent cheap, windows wide. Sometimes on quiet nights, the caretaker swears he hears scratching in the walls. And somewhere in the city, a new tenant looks at a for rent sign and stops.
You love this video, guys? Please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification button, and drop your comments and thoughts on the comment